is such a pleasure for me, Maria Angelo, to be here on behalf of Authority Magazine, speaking to a California native who has made a name for herself, making it to top 10 of American Idol, an all-star soccer star, a songwriter, a singer, and now an author of a digital cookbook. Grace, it's such a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And instead of me telling people who you are, I would love for you to tell us who you are, what has brought you to this point of your life, and what's your story?
Yeah, my name's Grace Leer. I am, yes, originally from California, Northern California, the Bay Area. And I've been in Nashville for 6 years. But before that, I mean, I was just a normal kid. I grew up in California. I'm the baby of 4. And I went to school. I played soccer. That was one of my other loves. It was always soccer and singing for me. It was balancing those two passions that I had at a very young age. And, learning a lot of things like work ethic and really sticking to something. And, being on a team was so much of my soccer experience. And then music for me was just a burning passion that I fell in love with on stage. I think that feeling of connecting with people through song and through music and through lyrics was something I noticed was super special. And I wanted to really chase that dream. I did end up going to college, and I played Division I soccer at UC Berkeley, so go Bears. Graduated from there and put a country band together in San Francisco, and then moved out to Nashville. And it has been such an amazing experience. I was working in a sales job my first couple of years in Nashville and balancing out, just a 9-to-5 job and doing music and wanting so badly to not have to wake up and go to an office every day. I wanted to just wake up and write songs, or wake up in the middle of the country on a tour bus and, be doing what I love. And I manifested that for a long time. And then American Idol came around, and it totally changed my life, and it helped that dream come true. And it's crazy busy and there's all these things going on, but I just have to pinch myself and say, music is my job now. And I'm very proud of that. And, I released my first EP back in September. So here we are.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So Grace, is there anything, any particular event or anything that you can remember that you said, I should really give this a chance and I should go for it, versus
wow,
just about it?
There was a lot of those moments, but I think I just knew at a young age. I just remember being on stage, and I think it was a moment that I think everyone knew this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I was 9 years old, and I sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow at my elementary school talent show. I was obsessed with The Wizard of Oz, and I sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and it made people cry in the audience, and I'm 9. So that was it was kind of like, and when I look back on that video, I was like, Mom, I wasn't that good. Like, I don't think I sound great. But she said it was just moving, and there was something that my parents realized this was a gift. And it was very rare that not only could I sing, but I just loved the stage. I loved looking at a crowd and saying, okay, this song is supposed to make you smile. I want to make you smile. Or this song is supposed to make you feel something, and that might bring tears. And if I get to do that, like, that is so powerful. And I think they knew that I should at least try and really get better at that one thing. So they got me into voice lessons when I was 9 years old. And I really started learning how to use my voice, how to train my voice, and how to, sit down with lyrics. I remember with my mom and dad sitting down with wide open spaces when I was learning it, the Chicks, and going line by line and understanding the story that I was telling. So that when I sang it, people really understood what I was singing about. So there were all those moments, but I just remember I remember being very young and knowing that this is all I want to do. And there's still a long way to go, but here we are.
You've gone pretty far. Congratulations on having the courage to go after it.
Thank you.
Very cool. So you write songs, you sing songs. What inspires you?
Oh my gosh. Well, my first EP, A Lot of Heartbreak, inspired me, which happens. We all go through it. But yeah, I mean, I think the things that inspire me music wise, I grew up on a lot of 90s country. So I love Shania Twain and I love the Chicks and Jody Messina and those kind of 90s powerhouse women really inspired me musically. And then from like a or Mariah Carey and Aretha Franklin, those kind of big powerhouse singers. So I feel like I have kind of that rangy voice, but songwriting, when I get in the room, it's really what's going on in my life. It's really, what am I going through? It's therapy. It's like let's unpack what's going on with me and my relationships or where I'm at, and let's write something about it that people can connect to and relate to. Is always my goal with any song, is when they listen to it that they can say, oh my gosh, I've been there, or I understand that, or wow, that really helps me get through this season in my life. So.
And speaking of people, any people that have been particularly influential to you? I know you mentioned some singers.
Yeah.
People who have been particular cheerleaders, people who have shown up in your life as examples, somebody who has inspired you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, music wise, there was a lot of who I mentioned, Shania Twain and Jody Messina, Martina McBride, those women for sure. But people in my life, I mean, my parents are amazing. My mom and dad, they always really encouraged this dream, and they never said you can't or you won't. They always said, go for it. And if it's what you love, the money will follow, and it's all meant to be. So go after it. I'm very lucky to have a very supportive, family and friends. And then in the soccer world, it was my coaches. It was coaches that were hard on me, that pushed me, that said, okay, so you're really good and you're really strong in this category. Here's where you're really weak. Let's work on those weaknesses and make them into strengths. And so much of my soccer experience has helped me in the music industry tremendously.
Speaking of those moments, how do you deal with those bumps on the road and those ups and downs? Because I can only assume there are some of those.
Yeah, that's a good question. I deal with the ups and downs, just always trying to see the positive in something, even if it's a bad day, even if I'm stressed or if it didn't go the right way, I always try to say, okay, well, what did come from that, or what might come from that? Because there is always a reason for everything. There's a reason, and everything's meant to be. So I try to just see the silver lining, I feel like, and know that I am right where I need to be. I think, especially in the new year, I think a lot of us kind of go, did we do everything we wanted to do in 2022? Have we accomplished, you start the year with this list of goals and these things you want to get done. And sometimes you don't get them all done. And sometimes, most of the time, it doesn't turn out the way that you picture it or want it to be. And there's always a reason for that. So I just trust the process, and I stay true to myself and keep my head down and keep working hard. And yeah.
Inspirational. Yes. Tell us whether you do a lot of things, right? You just have a cookbook that came out on top of songwriting. And how do you manage to prioritize your time?
Oh, that's a good question. I think, prioritizing my time is important. And again, I learned that a lot at a young age, because it was balancing so many things. It was balancing my academics and soccer and singing and family and friends. There's all these things that we want to be and want to do. And I think at the end of the day, as much as I'm like a doer, I prioritize, have I been a good person today? Have I been kind to everybody? Was I nice to myself today? Because, you can check all these things off your list, but at the end of the day, are you who you are or what you do? I think is a question I try to ask myself a lot, because a friend asked me that once. They saw me going 1,000,000 miles an hour, and they said, are you defining yourself by what you're doing or who you are? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know. So that's something I try to remember. And, my priorities change too. I think, especially in my career, when I first got off American Idol, the priority wasn't to release music right away. It was to write my best songs and write my story. And then the priority was, okay, let's record these songs and make them great. And then it was, all right, let's get these out in the right way and make the music videos and all that stuff. So they change. But I'm definitely a list person.
Okay. And
gotta have that list.
speaking of staying true to yourself and being who you are, where does self-care fall on that priority list for you?
I love self-care. I think that is, I love that it's talked about. I look back on my mom. So my mom raised 4 kids, and my dad was gone a lot. They divorced when I was little. My dad was gone a lot. So we lived mainly with my mom, and she put herself through PA school and nursing school and PA school all while I was in school. So she was always, running around, taking care of us, going to work. And I always think of self-care in her way that she would make us dinner, and then she wouldn't eat dinner with us though. She would let us go away. Like once we were all done eating, then she would eat her dinner with her People magazine and her cup of red wine. It was always like in a cup, like a little glass water cup. And if I tried to go in there and talk to her, she was like, politely like, nope, not right now. This is my self-care. This is my time. Okay. I love you, but this is my red wine and my People magazine and my dinner, and you can't talk to me for these 15 minutes. And I think that is so important. I think it's important to shut off everything and say, okay, what do I need for myself right now? And I'm mostly an extrovert, but I also need to recharge by myself. So something that's my self-care is definitely cooking. That is a huge love of mine. Being in the kitchen, whether it's cooking by myself or cooking for my boyfriend or friends, it's really just me, and I have music on, whether I'm drinking wine or not. And for some reason, it's soothing to me to just make a delicious meal and hang out in my sweats and put on a show or sit with a friend and eat delicious food. That's definitely something I do for self-care. I've been really into yoga. I love going to hot yoga and having those 60 minutes without any distraction and just being with my mind and body and just being calm, but also moving. Like, I'm an athlete, so I do feel like self-care for me also is being active, whether it's just going on a walk or stretching. It doesn't have to be this crazy hard workout. It's just moving my body. So those are a few things that help me, and I know everybody is different. But I always just think of my mom.
She found her way. She had her way.
Yes, she did. That was her way.
You mentioned the cookbook. Tell us a
Yes.
little bit about the cookbook. That sounds like a project of passion.
It definitely was a project of passion. And I started, so I've been cooking forever. My mom taught me and my sister how to cook since we were really little. And it's always been a fun thing for me. And it wasn't until after American Idol, when we were all still at home during the pandemic, that someone had mentioned to me, because I was always posting the pictures of food that I was cooking at home, and I'd always get questions, oh, what recipe are you using? So I decided to just go live on Instagram one night and make my dinner, and I was making my marinara sauce. And I said, okay, I'm going to go live on my Instagram. And everyone just really loved it. And I really loved it. And it was really a fun 30 minutes of connecting with my fans, because I was cooking and telling them, what song I wrote that day and what I've been up to. And so it just became this community. And then the next time I did it, I was like, hey guys, what should we call this? And the fans said, Taste with Grace. And I said, that's awesome. So Taste with Grace was born out of Instagram Live through my fans. And it was something that when I wanted to release my EP, which has 7 songs on it, self-titled Grace Leer, another team member of mine said, what if you did a digital cookbook? And I said, oh my gosh, what if I gave each song a recipe to go with it? And it just became this really fun thing. And I got with my sister, who is someone, her and I share recipes with all the time. And we're we're sisters. We're like always cooking the same thing. So I had her help me take each song and say, okay, you know, for example, Brought a Girl is a true story, a song I wrote about a guy who brought a girl to a party. And it's a true story. And at that party that I was throwing, I made my mom's curry chicken pasta salad. So in my cookbook for Brought a Girl, the recipe is the curry chicken pasta salad. And it was really fun to put that together. And it's a way for fans to listen to my music, my EP, and also make some delicious food.
You combine your passions of food and music.
Yeah.
Great. Speaking of projects, any other projects you want to share with us that you're working on?
Right now, I'm just writing again. I mean, it's, you know, we put out the EP and it was my debut EP. That was a lot of heartbreak. And I think people can look forward to some more love songs now that I'm in a very happy, healthy relationship. So it'll be kind of a new age of Grace Leer. And I'm performing, you know, a lot. I'm trying to the stage is my favorite place in the world. So just trying to get out there and get on the road a little bit more, promote the EP, and probably back in the studio at some point this year to put down some new songs.
Great. And speaking of being on the road, that's an intense schedule. How do you, going back to self-care, give us some tips. Give us 3 tips that somebody who travels a lot, there are a lot of people who are on the road and they say, well, I'm on the road, I don't have time to self-care. Give us some tips that work for you, practical tips that work for you.
Okay, 3 tips when you're traveling for self-care.
Self-care.
I would say tip number one would be pack healthy snacks, because for me, I can eat like crap on the road, which is I love my junk food for sure. But when I'm on tour, I need to be feeling good. So I love like healthy snacks, whether it's packing, you know, a little thing of fruits and veggies or just some healthy crackers. I always love something sweet. So I love getting like, some dark chocolate for the road. So I would say like pack some healthy snacks. Make sure, I always like to do some sort of stretching or some sort of workout like the day before I'm traveling. But also if that's something you do, like even if it's a vacation, you know, add in a walk or a stretch when you're on vacation. And self-care tip number 3 would be, don't be hard on yourself. Like, you know, you're traveling, it's not going to be perfect. So don't feel like just because, you know, you didn't eat all the things you wanted to eat, or you didn't work out, or you didn't sleep well, it's okay. You know, like you're going to get back to it. I feel like sometimes when I've been on tour, you know, and I have to eat like a gas station meal because there's nothing else to do, and it's 2 a.m. and you're starving. I've tried to just not, you know, let that get to me, and it's okay. It's not always going to be perfect. So I would say, don't be hard on yourself.
Yeah. I like. All right. Any favorite quote or anything that you keep reminding yourself when it gets like bumpy, or every day, just to get you going, or anything that keeps you positive?
It's simple, but it's control the controllables. Because there are just so many things we can't control. And it's so on those days where, maybe it's not going my way, or I'm frustrated with something or someone, I just try to say, what can I control right now? What is actually in my grasp? You know, is it going for a walk? Is it calling my mom? Like, is it doing something that I can actually do to make the situation feel better or make your day better? So that's something I say a lot to myself.
Yeah, I think it's impactful for all of us to remember what we can and what we cannot control.
Yes.
Excellent, Grace. Tell our listeners and readers, where can they follow your path and your journey?
Yeah, you guys can follow me on socials, which is just Grace Leer Music, on everything, TikTok, Instagram, all that stuff. And you guys can download my cookbook for free on graceleer.com. So go ahead and do that and blast my EP and make some delicious food.
Yes. Any last words of advice or anything you want to share with us?
I would say, well, thank you so much for having me, of course. But I would share that, you know, do what you love. I think that there are days where I almost didn't move to Nashville, or days where I was scared to do it. I was scared of getting uncomfortable. I was scared of, you know, trying something new, or the fear of failing. And those are the things, when you get that feeling of fear, that means it's something that's worth it. That means it's something that's going to change your life. And I think I'm so glad every single day that I made that move, that I made that jump, and got out of my comfort zone, because my life wouldn't be what it is today if I didn't do that. So.
Well, that's a beautiful way to end. I am so appreciative of your time and your energy, and thank you for the inspiration.
You too. Thank you so much.
We will be in touch. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them to Grace Leer. Thank you, Grace.
Thank you.
Can't get enough of those rebellious conversations? Do make sure you subscribe, like, and share with your friends.